Welcome. As I was just saying, thank you so much for being here. Please ignore my crowded desktop. I'm going to share my show in a minute so you won't see it. Thank you for being here. I am Erica Poplinski-Burge, and along with my co-host and co-worker, Hannah,
Hello.
we are going to be sharing with you about games in the classroom. Hannah, did you want to add to that? I feel like I just cut you off.
No, no. Let's get started and hopefully, actually, we are going to talk about a lot of different games today. So one thing I wanted to state right off the bat, that if you've played anything similar in your classrooms with any sorts of different rules or variations, I would love to hear about them in the chat so that we can have a little bit of collaboration and ideas for the upcoming school year.
I love that. And if you were in my sessions before, you probably heard me say I have been teaching since 2005, 18 years in the classroom, all grades, pre-K through 8th grade. So I have played lots of games with students, and I am excited to share them with you and hope that you can come away with something that will be useful to you that you can use right in your classroom. So this session is Need More Practice, Turning Play into Language Proficiency. So our agenda, do you want to go over the agenda, Hannah?
Sure, we're just going to start by introducing ourselves, which we've just done, and then we're going to talk about why we would even play games in the first place. We're going to talk about some different types of games to practice different things. So the vocabulary aspect is a big one in the world language classroom. And then we have story games that you might play with your free voluntary reading library or the stories that you're using in Voces if you have a Voces account. Games that you might use to review before a test or a quiz or, at the end of the semester. We've got some brain breaks. And then finally, we're going to be talking about the games that are embedded on the Voces digital platform and when and why you might want to play those.
And hopefully we will get to play at least one of the games along the way. So why do we do games in the classroom? Well, meaningful repetitions. Our brains get something like, when we're learning our first language, 10,000 hours of input before we start to produce language at around 1 year of age. Luckily, we can take lots of shortcuts with our students to help them need less input to actually be able to comprehend and output. But they do need lots of meaningful repetitions to get there, and games are a great way to lower the affective filter and help them enjoy class without stress. And most of our games we're going to show you today are very low prep, so you as a teacher don't have to do a lot of extra work because you already have plenty to do. And they are also a great way for students to connect with each other because, after all, that's why we teach language, right? We want people to communicate and connect, and games are a great way to do that. So games boost memory retention through meaningful, fun repetition. They lower the affective filter. We learn best when we feel like we belong and when we're playing a game and not really thinking about learning a language. That's a really great learning state to be in. They increase dopamine, which boosts motivation, memory formation, and interest. They improve the executive function. Students work together, teamwork, make decisions, plan and strategize. And they kind of support how brains naturally acquire languages. We play games with kids, we sing songs with kids, we do all these things with kids to help them learn their first language. Well, we can use those same tricks for our second, third, or fourth language. So we're going to jump right in because we have a lot of games to show you. And the first set we're going to look at are vocabulary games. So this is a list, and I'm just going to jump right into it. This vocabulary list is taken right from one of our Voces digital stories. All of the little headphones on there are native speaker audio if you use Voces. But two classics that are amazing for vocabulary acquisition and very low teacher prep, which is very important, are charades and Pictionary. Now I do these usually first whole class, and then I'll have students go out and play in small groups. So here is our vocabulary. And for charades, all I would do is I would act out one of these, and then the kids have to guess which one I am acting out. So I know this is going to be really hard, but when I act out one of these, I want you to write in the chat what you think I'm acting out. Yes, I am bored. you go in a classroom, what I would do, I was acting out and bored, estaba aburrida. In a classroom, whoever guessed mine would either get to go next or they would get to pick who goes next. Because sometimes kids want to guess, they don't want to actually get up there and act out. And you could play this game for several minutes and then break your students up into smaller groups and have them play in smaller groups. You could also have teams where student earns points. And once you've played this for a little while, I usually tell my students they can act out 2 or even 3 at once. So I'm going to try and act out 2 right now, and you tell me which two you think I'm acting out. Which 2 do you think I'm acting out? Yes, bored and hot. So that is great. You guys got it right away. Hace sol, very, very close. It's sunny because it could also be sunny and hot. As the teacher, you are repeating these vocabulary words each time the students say them. You're pausing and pointing. They're getting so much extra repetition, and they'll get so into the game and trying to guess what their friends are saying that they'll almost forget they're in the target language. Especially when you start letting the kids act out more than one of these, some of the charades get really, really silly. There's lots of laughter and there's lots of meaningful repetition of the target language. And again, this one is super low teacher prep. All you have to do is go ahead and put your vocabulary list up there. Pictionary is the same thing. I'm not going to demonstrate it for you because it's hard for me to draw on my computer, but you just would draw one of these and then the kids would guess what you're drawing. So both of these are kind of classic games, but they're both fabulous games for vocabulary acquisition and for getting your students practicing both as a whole class and in individual groups. With individual groups, I would just go ahead and let them print out the vocabulary and take it around the room, or you could even just project it on the board. So that's an easy one. Another one you can do with that same vocabulary set, or a different one, is called Pop the Balloon. And with this one, you just take the vocabulary and you print them out, and you have one vocabulary sheet per 2 students. The students face each other, and they have a chair in the middle of them with the vocabulary list on them, and they each have a pencil. You're going to say one of the words, and they're going to try to be the first to pop the balloon by hitting it with the eraser on their pencil. Now, you can, when you are first starting out, say the English and they hit the Spanish or they hit the target language. You can say the target language and they hit the target language. Or you can even say whole sentences and have them hit the vocabulary that is in the entire sentence. So you could say, like, the girl is bored, and they have to find the one that is está aburrida. So you can vary that based on the needs of your students. Again, super, super low teacher prep, lots of repetitions of the key vocabulary. You want to explain fly swatter, Hannah?
Yes, so this is fly swatter. You could even play it using this slide that Erica has put together. I believe these are the same words that we just saw before, except in picture form. So you could either put these pictures up on the board or actually just use those vocabulary words written out. You can divide the class into teams or just select 2 students to play and give them each a fly swatter or something soft and, you know, non-destructive that that they can use to point out the correct picture. If you either say the vocabulary word, you play the recording of it, or maybe you act it out yourself, or just combining those elements from Pictionary and charades. There's a couple different variations that you can use with the fly swatter game, and it gets students up and moving a little bit more than other games.
And again, very low teacher prep. That's kind of like the theme. Games that are low teacher prep but highly effective. Follow the Leader is a really fun game that I saw my gym teacher playing, and I started playing in the classroom, and it was great. And what happens with Follow the Leader is you have everyone stand in a circle. You pick one student to be the leader, and the leader goes into the hall. I'm sorry, you pick one student to be it. That person goes into the hall, and then you pick one student to be the leader. So the person who is it, the key thing is they can't see that you're picking the leader. The leader is going to start acting out the vocabulary words. However, they're going to switch up the vocabulary word they're acting out every 30 seconds or so. The rest of the class is going to be following along with whatever the leader's doing. So if the leader acts like they're bored, they will act like they're bored. If the leader acts like it's hot, the rest of the class will act like it's hot. you as the teacher will be calling out the vocabulary words so the students get that extra reinforcement. Once the whole class is kind of going and following the leader, you call the student back from the hall in, and they are trying to watch and figure out who is the leader. Now, when I play with my students, they get 3 guesses. So they'll say in the target language, are you the leader? If they think they know who the leader is, and the student will say yes or no. If they guess correct, then they've won that round, and you pick a new leader and a new person who is it. If they don't guess correctly, after 3 guesses, I start to give them hints. Like the leader is wearing pants. The leader has tennis shoes. The leader plays soccer. And it's a really great way to kind of get that reinforce different vocabulary, but also get them kind of looking around the room and trying to guess. Like you can see who understands that you're saying the leader has pants, that the leader has glasses. And you can see what the students comprehend and get them listening for clues in a different language. Spaceship cat, Hannah.
So this one might look familiar to you, but is a little different. I believe this illustration comes from one of our Voces por el Mundo titles. And in this one in particular was created by our very own Justin. He was inspired by a blog post by another teacher that, she was searching for a replacement for the traditional hangman game, something a little less violent and a little bit more lighthearted. So in this case, we've come up with a spaceship cat, where you simply have students draw a spaceship as they guess the vocabulary word. And this one in particular, of course, can be a great game to play when you are practicing learning the alphabet. Make sure that students are not just saying the letters out loud in English. And it's also a good reminder to just think about the different things that we do in the classroom every day that we just take for granted or we don't question. It's like, why do we play hangman? Could it be something else? There's a lot of other things that are probably worth reflecting on and changing up. And Justin wants you to guess the word in this picture. If you can. 1 letter missing. There you go, Rebecca's got it. So yeah, I think that's that on. Oh, it seems that Erica is having some power issues. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen and power through with the remaining presentation while I wait for her to return.
Hannah, well done on the pun. Yeah, we've got storms rolling through here. I'm just north of her, so that could, yeah, Justin's really close to her. All right, so you're able to share and everything?
Are we seeing the same presentation? Okay. I have not played as many games as Erica has, so I might come across some that I don't know about. But we will continue. See, I don't know what a pencil grab is. I do not know what this next one is about. You could potentially, I'm just gonna throw out a guess here, people in the chat, if you know what this game is about. Can chime in, but I feel like maybe it's you hold up your item, true or false.
There's a couple in chat that
this is a lotion. Yeah.
So if somebody in chat wants to unmute and explain this one.
Do you want me to explain?
Sure.
Go for it.
All right, perfect. You throw a statement, and it could be true or it could be false. So if it's true, the first one, because they ideally it's 2 students, but if you have odd numbers, it could be 3, and they put the pencil in the middle. So the first one to grab it, if it's true, they get points, all right, and they have to count their points. But if they grab it and it was false, then they lose a -1. Like I start counting against them because they're grabbing the pencil with the wrong statement.
Gotcha.
Is that clear? Yeah.
Yeah, so just to restate what I believe you were talking about. So you have a group, 2 or 3 students. You read aloud a statement, probably using the target vocabulary,
Yes,
and the first student to grab the pencil on a true statement gets the
that's
point.
the point.
hmm And if they grab the pencil on a false statement, then they might lose a point or it
Yes,
doesn't count.
exactly.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your help on that one.
You're welcome.
Can I pipe in real quick?
Sure.
So, and I've heard it called like marker game too. Basically, the way I've done it is, they have to be correct, whether it's true or false, right? If it's false, it's false. If it's true, it's true. But if they don't get it, like if they grab it and they find out that they're wrong, whether it's true or false, then the opponents get a point. Does that make sense? That's how I play it, but
hmm
different people do it different ways. So
Yeah.
just sharing.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, there, again, with all of these little games that we're bringing up, there can be probably endless variations in ways to tailor it to your students in your classroom. Teresa says that she uses markers so they don't break. Much better than wasting your pencils.
I am back now, Hannah, but you'll have to, I'm on my laptop and I'm hotspotting my phone and hoping that they'll both last.
Well, I'm glad that you're back. Yeah, I've got the presentation all pulled up, so you don't have to worry about that. We're now on the pick your side game.
Okay, great.
If you'd like to
Sorry about
stay.
that. We had a big storm rolling. I completely lost power. It came back. I don't know how long we'll be back, but I'm on my laptop with a phone hotspot, so hopefully that will carry us through. This one is pick your side. It's very easy. It's a great way to take like a multiple choice activity or a fill in the blank one like you see here and get the students up and moving, and then they get twice the exposure. And so for this one, all I do is so this, in case you're not a Spanish speaker, says the woman in the car is, I would say, if you think she is hot, go on this side of the room. If you think she is angry, go on this side of the room. And the students just get up, go to the side of the room that matches the word, and you can go and ask them, oh, why do you think she's hot? Oh, why do you think she's angry? And let them discuss their answers. If you play it as a game, and yes, Sarah, and Ojada is correct, gracias. If you play it as a game this way, and then have them go and do it on their own, it's twice the reading and twice the exposure. The kids who are fast processors and really get it will be able to fly through doing it on their own and then be ready for some sort of extension work. And the kids who needed a little bit of extra support will be able to get that extra support, and they'll feel a lot more confident when they're going and doing it on their own because they've already played it as a game and seen the answers play out. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are story games or games that you can play with different stories. And we're going to get into those now. So this, I only covered up this story because I didn't want to give away the answers because of something we're going to do with it in just a minute. But this is a story game. It's from Nuestra Historia, Unit 3, and it's about this girl who's in Minnesota and she's trying to call her friend. And that's really all you need to know. Would you go to the next slide, please, Hannah?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, I just took the first 6 sentences from this. And what I would be doing in my classroom is after I had read this story, I would type these out in the target language. Each student would get one of these sentences. They are going to draw a picture that matches it and write the sentence. And then you can do a couple of different things with this. You can just literally tape the sentences to different places in the room and say, find me one that shows Carly is bored. Find me one that shows it's snowing and it's cold outside. Find me one that shows they go to school together. And again, it's repetitions of the keywords, it's getting the students up and moving around the room. Or you can make sure that you have an equal number of these sentences, divide your students up into however many groups that would make them equal, and then tell them they have to go around the room and find the story, like find one page for each sentence, and then they have to put it in the correct order. So all of these are teamwork. All of these are getting your students up and moving. All of these are getting them extra repetitions of the key vocabulary and target structures. And then all of them are low teacher prep. Again, I told you that is really important, I think, for all of our sanity. Predict the future. I would do this one. Oh, I was looking for my mouse and I don't have a mouse right now. I'm on my laptop. I would do this one potentially before the story. And what I'm going to do is I will just give the students key parts of the story, and then they have to predict what happens next. So the telephone rings. Martina says, type in the chat. There's no wrong answer here. What does she say? Martina says, hola. There you go. But the connection is bad. Oh, I like the que pasa. Oh, Taco Bell, can I help you? See, lots of fun answers. So Martina says, Taco Bell, can I help you? But the connection is bad. Blank, Carly yells. What does Carly yell? No wrong answers. No! I like that one. Who's there? Nachos Belgrande. I'm hungry. All of these are great answers. None of these are wrong. So blank, Carly yells. I'm hungry. Oh, that's even better, Amy. Quiero Taco Bell. I want Taco Bell. Carly yells. Martina yells. What does Martina yell back? Sí, yes, a mí también. Use the app, silly. I love all of these. Today's special bean burritos with queso. These are all beautiful. So Martina yells back, use the app, silly. Carly ends the call. She calls Martina a second time. Blank, she yells. What does she yell for the last one? Can you hear me now? I love that. Can you hear me now? Or any one of a number. There's no wrong answer here. And these are so fun. And you're getting extra, oh, ice cream now. I want tacos. I love all these answers. You're getting so many extra repetitions of the key things, like the telephone rings. Martina says, Carly yells. These are the big important things. And we're just adding little silly things in there to engage the students. Again, very low teacher prep, lots of engagement, lots of repetitions. That's kind of the key for games. Fun, easy, lots of repetitions, engaging to the students. I keep trying to grab my mouse to go to the next slide and it's not working. Next slide, please. Okay, so add in a little something new. I just take a sentence from the story that students could plug in something new, and I have them write that on a piece of paper. They plug in whatever they want to plug in, and then I draw the picture to go with it. It's very blank. We're going to the blank. Wait, did I tell you I am on vacation in blank? And the students are going to pick what goes into each of those blanks and draw a picture to go with it. You could take those pictures and you could throw them up in the hall. When you do this and you're taking something that students are very familiar with, like they know most of the things in the sentence except for those little 3 blanks, what you're doing is you're getting them extra repetitions of key vocabulary, but you're making it just a little bit different by letting them read the variety of answers that other students give and look at the different pictures. So it's like free reading for the students with, again, very low teacher prep, and they get really excited to go and read. Like when I put these in the hall, students will stop and they'll read. I'll have to be like, come on, you guys gotta go to class, because they're sitting there reading all the papers. So that is what we want. We want them to be engaged and interested in reading these things, but without you having to do a ton of extra work. Next, please. Okay, pick your corner. Very, very similar to the last one. I would, with the multiple choice, I would just say, okay, in this activity, we're reading different sentences from the story, and they're saying if it was Carly or Martina that said it. So for this one, I would just say, okay, if the answer is Carly, this side of the room is Carly, this side of the room is Martina. Here's the statement. Go to the side of the room that you think is the right answer, right? You can count 23 kids think it's Carly. 7 kids think it's Martina. Why do you think it's Martina? Why do you think it's Carly? And you can have a whole discussion if you want, but you could also ask them why, or you could just move them back and forth if the kids seem really obvious about the answers. Again, if you have them go and do this on their own later, the kids who are fast processors and get it are going to fly through this, and they got a little bit of extra reading, then they can do something else. And the kids that need extra support naturally got the extra support with the game. Next, please. Oh, this is one of my favorites. So if you add sound effects to a story, it totally changes the way the story feels. And so what you do with this one is and I found this, I learned this activity from Christy Placido many, many years ago at a conference. And all that you do is you, the teacher, read the story, and everyone else makes sound effects to go in the background. Nothing but sound effects. So if you are feeling brave and willing to participate, it's much more fun if people try it with me. So turn on your audio if you're feeling brave, and I'm going to read the story in English, and you just give me whatever sound effects you want. There are no wrong answers. Okay, here we go. Carly is bored.
Whoa.
Perfect. Today is the 23rd of January, the winter. And she lives in Minnesota. I almost said Minnesota. It's snowing. It's cold outside. She decides to call her friend Martina.
Ring, ring.
They go to school together.
Hi, how are you?
Perfect. So you get the point. It adds a whole lot to the story. What I like to do after I've taught my students how to do this is to print up the story for them, divide them into groups, and let them come up with their own sound effects. And then they can present those sound effects to the class. You can even vote on who you think has the best sound effects. It adds a whole nother level to the story. It lowers the affective filter because it's fun for students. And then you get extra repetitions of the story in a way that's kind of unique and new with, again, out much extra teacher prep.
I like it.
It does give a listening purpose. Natalie says, love the sound effects, very interactive, and it gives a listening purpose. Yes, you exactly nailed it. Okay, so these are some review games that you can use, and some of them you will know, and some of them there will be variations, but it's good to remember that they're out there and they're another great way to review things with students. Okay, Jeopardy! I'm sure most of you know this one. It's kind of a classic, but you just take your vocabulary or target structures or cultural information and you make up questions about it. Can you go to the next slide, Hannah?
Yes.
And then you have students broken up into teams, and then they just say what they would like for their question. So they might say, I would like free time for 600. You give them the question that goes with that, and if they get it right, they get that many points for their team. And I always let teams collaborate and work together. If they get it wrong, the other team gets a chance to steal. And I always let the other team have a chance to steal because it has them listening, even when it's not their turn. And again, I let students support each other because some kids get nervous during games. Some kids are all about it for games like this. So it doesn't matter as long as they're listening and getting the extra repetitions. And then kind of the opposite of that is the unfair game. I do not, Hannah, do you want to, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah. So there's not a template in Voces to make the Jeopardy game. I recommend either you can build it in a PowerPoint presentation. You can have the questions hidden underneath, little boxes like this. You could, otherwise you could write the questions or vocabulary words on the board and cover them with sticky notes or something. And Sue has a website that might even work quite well. But the sticky notes, you could then put the point values on if you wanted to do it on your whiteboard. But yeah, thank you for that link to the website that you might find handy.
Yeah, all of those will work. The unfair game. Someone says, Rachel says her kids lose their minds for the unfair game. It's pretty fun. There's different ways to play it. This is a Martina Beck's game originally. But basically what happens is the kids, and this is the way I played it. There are other ways to play it though, and you can ask Google if you want the other ways as well. But you basically have a team pick their category and their question, and before they see how many points it's worth, they have to say if they want to keep the points or if they want to give it to a different team. And then they would say what team. So if Hannah and I were playing against each other, I might say, I want to give those points to Hannah, to Hannah's team. We would answer the question. Hannah, you'll have to actually just move the box aside because I didn't animate it. So if I said I want in my free time for 3 and I answered the question correctly, and I wanted those points to give to Hannah, then after the question is answered, she would reveal that it's negative 129 points. And so sorry, Hannah, but it's the unfair game, so that goes to you.
No.
So the unfair game is really fun. It does, I will warn you, get the students riled up, but in a fun way. Like that one's worth a plus 505 points. So they're all worth different random amounts. It's fun. It gets them a little bit riled up, but also as long as you set it up correctly to be like, it doesn't really matter if you win or lose. This is just for fun, then it's fine. Even with little kids. 4 corners. Erica says she does this one all the time. It drives the kids crazy with the scoring. It is very fun. And it's a great way to practice bigger numbers and authentic contacts. 4 corners, one of my favorite games of all time. I play it, I think, a little bit differently than some people play it. And once I started playing this with my kids, they would ask to play it almost every day. Keep in mind, pre-K through 8th grade, but they all loved it. Basically, what I have students do is I number 4 corners of my room. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. One student is it, and they face away from the room. They close their eyes and they count to 10 in the target language. While they're counting, all of the other students quietly, because I don't want the student to know where they are, sneak to one of the 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, or 4. When they're done counting, so they're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When they're done counting, I ask them, and all this is done in the target language, which corner do you want? So they could say 1, 2, 3, or 4. If they say corner 2, everyone at corners 1, 3, and 4 are safe. But if you're at corner 2, you might be out of the game. But I don't just make them out. I go to the corner and I ask them a question in the target language. It could be anything I want to review with the students. Okay, the question could even be meant just for a particular student. So if I go to a corner and I know that the corner is full of my fast processors or native speakers who are really, really good at the language and they could use a challenge, I'll ask them a trickier question, right? But if I go to a corner,
Sorry.
That's okay. If I go to a corner and I know there's a student who's really been struggling and he could use something to like build up his confidence, I'll ask them a super easy question to that corner. Whoever gets the answer right is safe, but everyone else in the corner is out. And they go and sit down in the middle. And then the person starts counting who's it again, and everyone moves corners. So you can use this to review any topic. You can just come up with I usually just come up with the questions off the top of my head. It gets students moving. It gets them practicing numbers in the authentic target language. And they really love this one. And again, no teacher prep ahead of time unless you want to think of questions. So I don't like. Very, very simple game. I learned the variation that I'm going to teach you from Senor Woolley. And the way this one works is students sit in a circle and one kid stands up and says, I like cats. If the other students agree with them, they stand up. If they disagree, they sit down. If they don't know, they shrug. And that's it. And it's a great way for students, and then the next person will stand up and say an I like sentence, like I like dogs, or I like unicorns, or I like chocolate, or I like sushi. And then it goes around the circle with kids standing up, sitting down, or doing this for I don't know. It's a great way to get lots of extra repetitions of I like, and you can narrow the vocabulary. Like if you're doing food, you can like put up all your food vocabulary and say, okay, we're only going to play food words for this game. Or if we're doing places in the city, you can put up your city vocabulary and say, okay, we're only talking about places in the city we like. So you can really like kind of target what it is you like specifically, but it's a great way to get students connecting and realizing, oh, I like this and Hannah likes this. I didn't know that Hannah likes this. Another variation of this game to explain really quickly is one you can do outside with your students if you need to do like an outside day. And it's called Sharks and Minnows. And again, I learned this from the gym teacher. And students are standing on like a running field, basically, and they mark it with cones so they know where the start and the finish is. And one person is the shark, and they stand in the middle, and they make an I like statement, like I like chocolate. If the students who are lined up ready to run agree with them, they run all the way across the field, and the shark tries to tag them. If they get tagged, then they're sharks too, and they help tag. If they make it across, they stay fish. And then whoever's the main shark says another I like statement or an I don't like statement, and they have to run across if they agree. So sometimes my sharks will get smart and be like, I like chocolate, never runs across. And then they'll be like, I don't like chocolate. And then that gets all the stragglers. So again, it's a fun way to get students up and moving, running around, and getting to know each other, and also practicing important vocabulary at the same time. Rachel says these ideas are making her excited to go back to school. Hooray! Me too. That's the reason we're sharing them. Thanks, Rachel. Okay, brain breaks. Brain breaks are a great way, like our brain, our prefrontal cortex, I have a hard time not talking about the brain at least a little bit in a presentation, is like a muscle. And that the fact like we can only use it for so long before it reaches exhaustion. And especially when students are doing higher concentration activities and something like learning a new language, sometimes a little break is a great way to sneak language in a less stressful, easier way. And so we're going to share a few of those that are also applicable to our learning. Hide and seek, one of my absolute favorites. I started playing it this way during COVID because I needed to get my students more engaged. And all we would do is I would project a map, and you can do this with a city, you can do this with a world map, you can do this with like locations in the house. And one person would message me and say that they were hiding somewhere. They're going to tell me which location they're hiding in. And then everyone else just tries to guess. So I'm going to pretend that Hannah has already told me where she's hiding, and someone make a single guess in the chat as to where Hannah is at. I've already got a location for you, Hannah, sorry. La escuela. Rebecca, excellent guess. Pero Hannah, no está en la escuela. So she's not at school. And then someone else says la iglesia. And I would say, oh, excellent guess. But Hannah is not in la iglesia. She is not in the school. And then you go back and forth and repeat all the places she's not. So lots of repetitions. But Beatriz, guess she is in la biblioteca, the library, which is one of my favorite places. And that was the place I had for Hannah. So then whoever guessed it would either get to go next or pick the next person to hide. This is a super fun game, super easy, low prep, great for practicing locations. And then you can have students give them little maps, have them move around, all sorts of fun variations. Yes, it has many books. That's one of my reasons it's my favorite, Rebecca. So this one's really easy. Kids like it, and then you can have them play on their own too if you like. Hannah, you want to talk about this one?
Sure. So another two games that you can play with any of the images or panorama images that we have in Voces, or pictures from your own life or anything related to the vocabulary you're teaching now, is of course I Spy and 20 questions. Now here, I feel like one of my suggestions for this game is, here we can be talking about this image is about Monaco. So, you're searching for maybe a specific element here. Maybe it's these blue things in the bottom left that look like solar panels. Maybe that's what you're talking about. So, you can talk about Monaco and tie in some of the cultural elements that maybe, you've been talking about Monaco. You can see all the boats, why are there so many boats? Where might Monaco be? What might their, exports be? So that's one way to incorporate these sorts of games, is to pick a cultural image, but you could also take images from around the school life. So maybe something from the school newspaper. Take pictures of your own classroom if you're working on classroom vocabulary, and ask students to either find an item specifically using I Spy, or have them ask you questions when you or maybe another student has decided on a specific item in the pictures. Nikki says that she takes random pictures from the textbook, which is awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of different places to source your pictures from when it comes to these two games. And now we have the secret number or missing number game. Erica?
This is another favorite of mine. So for secret number, it's a great way for students to practice their numbers. And basically when I'm playing it with numbers 1 through 10, I have numbers 1 through 10 written on a whiteboard. I have students come up and point at the number they want so that students can't guess by the motion of their hand what their secret number is. And then students just guess. If they guess too low, I say more in the target language. If they guess too high, I say less in the target language, which keeps students paying close attention the entire time. So if my number was 8 and they guessed 4, I would say more. And then they guessed 9, I would say less. Well, then the students are paying attention. Now you have a range of 5 to 8, and they'll narrow their guesses accordingly. Students pay really, really close attention to this one. And then you can break them up into groups and have them play on their own, or you can expand the range of numbers as students, familiarity with numbers grow. It keeps them listening really, really intently, and they really, really like it. Missing numbers is just a little bit different. I usually, especially if students are beginners, will display the numbers on the board, and I will count, and I will just skip a number. And they have to write down the number that I skipped. Super easy, super low teacher prep. Students love it. Great way to practice numbers. So it's all of the important things.
Okay, and now we have just a little bit of time to talk about the games embedded on the Voces platform. I do just want to shout out real quick, if you're not reading the chat, Elise had some great insight about the unfair game and how she modifies it to suit her more competitive students. So thank you for that comment. I'm sure that can become a problem, not just with the unfair game. Sometimes students do get a little overzealous. So yes, back to the platform games. We have a couple different kinds. First, I'm going to show you where you can access the teacher game guide that goes into a little bit more depth on what the games are that we have for you and how you can use them. Much like we've already discussed, we've got some vocabulary games, story games, and just other games that don't quite fit into those two categories. And then if we have time, we might chat about the hub. So I'm going to click on this link really quickly and then share this in the chat. So there's that for you. But previously, this is a new document for you to reference. It goes into each game that we offer, what type it is, how many players you might want, and then when to play with your students. So you can go ahead and take a look at this on your own time. Kelly is asking about a PDF of all the games we've talked about today. I do not think so. I have a small one here of the ones on the platform. But
we do, however, are we talking about the hub in a minute, Hannah?
Yeah, but you can mention something.
We do have a location with lots of these games, though, all typed up, that we're going to share with you in just a minute. That's free access to everyone. And we will eventually share these slides as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just wanted to share this game guide with you. You've got that link in the chat. But if you want to find that reference document again, oops, I logged out of the game. So you can think about these different games and how you might use them yourself. You will just go to Voces, log in, and click on that Game Center at the top, and you will see the button for that game guide on the bottom, so you can come back to it if you need to. So we have that for you, and we also have a few spots in the curriculum itself that might prompt you to play one of the games I'm about to go over briefly. Yes, vocabulary games. Okay, so we have, these are all different sorts of flashcard games that work directly with the vocabulary we have in the platform. So if you're on Unit 1, your students are logged in. When they go to the Game Center, it's going to pull the vocabulary straight from that unit, and students can work with the vocabulary within the game. Flashcard Challenge is it's kind of a speed-based flashcard game. So students try and answer the vocabulary words as quickly as possible. And then Voces Match is one where it's more of a match two. Students flip 2 cards over to see if they correspond, and it might be the target vocabulary and the audio file, or maybe even an image of that vocabulary word. And then many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with Book It, which I will show you really quick back in the Game Center here. If we click on this Book It button, you'll see that we can't play it directly here. We'll have to go to the website after logging in. But this button right here takes you to a very useful document with links. For each unit and whatever title you're using, we've put all of the vocabulary in so you can play those flashcard games that your students may love on Book It using that Voces vocabulary. So that's where that is. Just to show you one more time, here I'm logged in. We've got the Game Center right at the top. You'll click on Book It, and then it'll take you right here to that PDF with all of that useful vocabulary.
I want to add too that if you create the games on Book It, there's lots of independent games. If you just leave those links accessible to your students, they will play over and over and over and over. Or so has been my experience.
And no, Rebecca, we do not have any sets made for you on Quizlet, but we do have these 3 options when it comes to vocabulary flashcard games. Okay, and then we do have 2 storytelling games. So the first is Voces Story Shuffle. This one we tend to recommend for maybe your Spanish, French, German level 3 students that are already used to storytelling. Basically, you'll be given 1 vocab word. Students will write a sentence based off of it, hit enter, they'll be given another one, and have to build a story kind of blindly that way. And it can create some really funny things, and you can print off those stories, and you can then, with those stories that or the story-based games that Erica mentioned before, we can then play additional games with the stories that we've written ourselves. And then You Decide is more of a Mad Lib style game. We have just a few stories for each language available for you to play with. And Darlene, if you are not seeing any You Decide games in the drop-down menu, that could be a bug from the recent Voces update. So we'll make sure to check into that. We found a lot of the bugs, but some of them are still hiding. So we'll definitely have to check that out to make sure it's ready for the school year. But it's more of a Mad Libs game. We've pre-written some stories. So yes, that's what that one is about. And then we have 2 more other games. Trivia Night and Pedro's Adventures in Spanish. I'll just quickly talk about Pedro's Adventures. It's a very short RPG style game. Everything is in Spanish, and this is not available for any other languages. It's just the first level. Students can walk around as a little character, and there's a lot of practice with basic verbs. Like they pick up an item, so the verb for pick up, and then they go and do something with that to, advance in the story. And then Trivia Night is a bit of a long-term game. We have some trivia questions already written for you in there, but you can also create your own if you've ever written your own trivia for any other class project or class game. You could recreate that in Trivia Night. So you put all your trivia questions in. Each question will get a code. And then my personal example for playing this game is it will be over the course of semester. So students aren't going to answer all of those questions right away. You'll give them a code. They will log into their own accounts. They'll put it into their Trivia Night game. and they will answer the question as fast as they can to win the most points. And so you can give out these codes as prizes for good behavior, or maybe every Friday we do a code together. You can hide them as a sort of scavenger hunt situation. There's a lot of different applications you can do with Trivia Night. So there's a lot to explore with that one. Yes, so semester-long competition, and the Pedro's Adventures game you may not, want to just jump into right off the bat. That could be a special occasion sort of game to play when it comes to the game center. Oh, and then the hub. Erica, did you have anything in particular you wanted to mention about the hub?
No, I was just going to say that it is full of games. Some of we have talked about today, some we have not, and extensions that you can do with your students that will hopefully help to take some of the planning and the work off of your plate while still keeping class engaging and fun for students.
Yes, and the hub is free for all. So if you don't have a Voces account, maybe you've signed up for a free trial, we have that available for you to reference whenever you need. It's got all sorts of tips in there, not just about playing games, but all sorts of comprehensible input, acquisition-driven instruction methods. And I also wanted to mention that tomorrow at 1 p.m., Melissa will be giving a session on kinesthetic activities, which is very closely related to what we've talked about today. But this is a lot more getting students out of their seats, running around, putting that movement in when we have a curriculum that is, very device focused. And Tanner, the games are all included in all of the different titles, Voces titles that you have. So you should see them. And I'm going to put my email in the chat so that it seems like Darlene is finding a couple of different bugs in the game center that we haven't caught yet. So if you find anything that is not working the way that it should, just let me know and we'll get that fixed because the new updates have changed a few things here and there, and we haven't got them all, and we were relying on you. And not just in the game center. I know there might be some trouble in other aspects of the platform. So thank you. Do we have anything else? Oh, we did. We had one more slide.
We only have 3 minutes, so I think maybe it's okay.
It's okay to be done.
Yes, because
Here's a
everyone
small.
goodbye at this point, but I hope it was helpful to everyone.
Yes, thank you all for listening and adding in your 2 cents and collaborating with us on all these different ideas for games. And when Erica's power went out.
Yes, thank you for your patience. Seems like it might be back on now.
Good. Wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
So yes, I think we are all done for the day.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. If you got disconnected, someone's looking for the links in the chat. I will see if we can find those. Oh, Hannah's got it right there.
There's the game guide. I don't know what other links I don't think I put anything else. I don't remember.
Well, thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we're looking forward to seeing you more tomorrow.